Hi, happy Saturday. I just wanted to do a quick video while I've got the chance. I've had a few things on my mind. Been thinking about aliens a bit, conspiracy theories and the censoring of conspiracy theories, psychedelics, rhesus negatives again, that type of thing. So I'm just going to have a little ramble and see where I get. Before I start though, again, it's just my opinion. I'm not trying to know anything. I don't think I know anything. I'm just noticing things and chatting about it. I do get this sort of feeling sometimes. I'm just like, can I post this? I did a video last week and I decided not to post it in the end because I just couldn't be bothered with, the differences in opinion coming back to me, and it's like, not that it bothers me, I find it interesting, but sometimes it's like, I'm just saying what I think, and I understand it's very rarely going to connect with everybody who watches this, but maybe one person will one day, who knows. So I'm just spouting off my thoughts, and I was thinking about rhesus negatives and electric. Just turn this music down a bit. Because, well, for a couple of reasons, but in the last month or so, I've just really noticed the amping up of electric shocks on things. I feel a current when I pick my phone up. I didn't then actually, but I feel the current come out from underneath, the bottom end of the phone and sort of into my hand when I pick it up, and I quite often get shocked when I'm plugging things in and out, or I can hear the frequency as well. But I went to the doctor's the other day, and when I was trying to log myself in on a touchscreen computer, it just wouldn't register my fingers, and I did try for a good couple of minutes, tried different fingers and that, and then shouted to the receptionist and she logged me in manually, and then I sat down, watched some bloke walk straight past, and it was working fine. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with my fingers? Sometimes cash points don't work, or chip and pin, or but it's been much better since contactless actually. But anyway, yeah, and then I was thinking about when I had an Apple Watch briefly last year, and it wouldn't register my body either. I thought I saw something white fly past there, and that always happens when I do my videos, and then I get a bit creeped out because I'm like, I don't feel scared, but sometimes when I'm talking about, not believing in certain things. Oh, it was there again then, did you say? Yeah, when I'm talking about not believing in certain things, something will happen, and then I'm like, oh, better rethink that. But, so the watch, it wasn't registering my heart rate or my sleep properly, it wasn't syncing up with my phone, nothing was like, it wasn't working, it wasn't synced with me. And when I took the watch off, I had a huge, rash where it had been, so I'm wondering if anybody else has had an Apple Watch. And if they had any trouble with it, I got rid of it in the end, so I felt a bit suspicious of it actually. I was like, I don't like this. Felt like a chip or something, fucking phones are around enough, aren't they, without having one stuck on your wrist. It's ridiculous. But anyway, so yeah, it's just, the conductivity of certain people, probably not just rhesus negatives, we're probably just banded in with highly sensitive people, potentially, or empaths or whatever, who feel these higher frequencies. There's no sort of hierarchy or snobbery from my end upon this, and I'm always checking myself whether this is ego-based or truth-based, heart-based, and I have to remind myself and, say it into the camera every time I talk about this in case somebody hasn't watched it, but, a very real paranormal thing happened to me, and I was told that it was important, The blood is important, and it is to me and my reason for being here, so I've been told, so, I've got to trust that. So I might be boring, you know, chatting about the same shit sometimes. But anyway, yeah, I just noticed that, you know, quite a lot of us have had tricky lives, hard lives, been around abuse or neglect or tricky situations, and seems that we've had to deal with a lot of shit before we can like let ourselves out. And that's what part of this awakening is for me. It's like, although it sounds like everything that everybody says, it is like everything everybody says, but you know, it's like finding yourself again, finding your soul, unlocking your soul cage, however you want to put it, you know, regaining sovereignty, whatnot. So yeah, I'll put a little piece below that I listened to earlier, and it's by this guy called Stoned Rapper PhD, I think, and he's Australian and he swears a lot. I think he's funny. He's got a book out, I think it's called Code of Consciousness, about his idea of everything. And, you know, he was connected to Source while he wrote it. So I'm interested to listen to it because he's got a lot of teachings already on YouTube that really do resonate with me, so, you know. But he was talking about empaths and their, you know, place in the world, what they're here for and what they're here to do, and maybe why they've had certain lives, and it just seemed to fit right, so I might stick that on. But another thing, you know, that keeps cropping up at the moment is the, you know, the M's on the palm, that being a thing, you know, some sort of mark. It's interesting. A lot of rhesus negatives seem to have these, especially O negatives that I've seen, and yeah, it's just, you know, that's interesting as well, isn't it? Physical traits, bent fingers as well, bent little fingers a lot seem to have. So I don't know if that's another thing or if that's some shit I've just picked up on, but you know, the usual paranormal experiences and things like that. But you know, this sort of thing that we're all being activated, that seems to be like, you know, when I got this, it's about the blood thing, the next thing I got was your DNA has been upgraded, and this was before I knew that anybody was thinking about this concept. You know, it was fresh from Source. Your DNA's been upgraded, and I was like, what the fuck? But it seems that a lot of rhesus negative people seem to be going through this. Oh, another one there. I wonder if you can see these white things. Because everything's just light and energy, isn't it? Oh, but anyway. So I may as well get it out there now. I'm still having this hard time with aliens, and it's not like I want convincing either. It's like something that I've just got to honour within myself. My view of aliens is that it's higher states of consciousness and pockets of consciousness that you can tap into. And when you are expecting something, what is that? When you're expecting something, you know, that's what you get. In terms of programming, you know, like I said, we've been fed alien stuff for, you know, 50 years or whatever. So it's there, isn't it? So it's what you're expecting to connect with, and then some people stop talking about it. I don't know, you know, I resonate with bits of it, but in me, it feels like these, you know, Pleiadians or whatever, these different types of beings, that they are pockets of consciousness and frequencies and different levels of light and energy that we are connecting to, which is just, you know, it's your higher self in a different area of consciousness, I think. So for me, I can rationalise, and I can even rationalise things like, you know, Corey Good and David Wilcox and, you know, those types of people. And when I first started waking up in March, I watched a little bit of this stuff on Gaia. And it wasn't that I didn't believe him, because I do believe him, but I'm in my head going, so how is this possible? And for me, it's he completely buys into it, and it feels like, and I've mentioned this before, but it feels like what is happening to him has been sporadic, spontaneous DMT dumps where his consciousness has completely gone somewhere else, and his amazing imagination, or preconditioning or whatever, has woven this story. And again, I've not looked into it enough, and I know there seems to be a lot of shared experience again in correlation, but I think for me, probably just after having psychedelic experiences and expecting something that I didn't get, it's like my psychedelic experiences, although very tricky at times, visually I've not been anywhere threatening. And when I had DMT, one time it took me straight to what looked like Israel. It was like a picture perfect postcard, navy blue scene back here with a big star and a temple in front of it and desert, and I was just sucked straight into this thing and sucked straight back out, to be honest. Not much else happened. But the other times it's been, and the same as sometimes on MDMA or mushrooms, it's you sort of, not MDMA, sorry, just mushrooms, I've ended up in this sort of place, this multicoloured soup of the universe, which is non-threatening if you enter it with a non-threatening preconception. I was expecting to see DMT jesters and these very scary scenes, and I didn't have enough to break through for sure, but I broke through somewhere else, and it was the same place sort of that I'd resided in whenever I'd had psychedelic experiences before, which it makes me wonder about pre-programming and how what you visit is what you're expecting to visit or not. I in my head I've always had some some etheric, beautiful view of source or heaven or God. It's never been sort of aliens haven't popped up there, in my awareness, although I was painting blue people at the start of my awakening. But I don't know, I just feel like there's psychological explanations for belief of aliens, and I feel like it's just it's subconscious archetypes, and it's ways our higher self is allowing us to be taught. It's whether you have a psychedelic trip or you think you're talking to the Octorians or whatever, it's a higher connection to source that you're trying to interpret, to learn something from. Well, that's what it seems like to me anyway. But who knows? A rhesus negative is a conduit between spirit and matter, question mark. That's what sort of ponders I have. But the other blocks, it's like, so that's how I, anything other worldly or off planet or hyperdimensional is alien, isn't it? But having actual, blue aliens, or fucking cone shaped ones, or triangular shaped gold ones with no face and arms and whatever, and they're all sat round a table talking about the business of Earth, and the deep space program, and underground bunkers and colonies on Mars, and spaceships being cloaked behind clouds, and Corey Good getting picked up sporadically, from his back garden by these technologies. I feel it's all happening inside, internally, So I think Terence McKenna does a chat on aliens and archetypes, and his idea of the phenomena of aliens, and that's really good. I can't quite remember it, so I won't talk about it, but it's good if anybody wants to watch that. It's more kind of how I align, in terms of it's a spiritual moment, it's a divine intervention, and then something paranormal happens afterwards. You know, aliens being an archetype or whatever. But anyway, I find it interesting. Another sort of trait of rhesus negative seems to be, you know, truth seekers. And this sort of ties into the bracket of conspiracy theories and theorists as well, doesn't it, in a way? And I've always had a problem with the labelling of that since waking up and, you know, dipping down a few fucking rabbit holes. I thought someone was knocking on the back door then. And it's because I just had a blank mind then. I was listening to the music and the knocking next door. Welcome to the new age. To the new age. This is it. This is this problem I have with new age as a bracket, you know. I feel like people are lemmings. I'm not saying I'm above this mentality either, you know. I quite often catch myself, you know, following somebody's teachings or beliefs and slowly assimilating into that. I have to always pull myself out and check within and go, is this for you or not? And a lot of the sort of new age shit doesn't seem to resonate, but I'm not as, you know, harsh and to the other side as not. It's just there's some sort of block of what actually aliens are and how they're perceived. I don't think anyone's sat around a table talking with Trump or, you know, anyone else with, you know, triangles for bodies and they're actual physical matter beings that can come in and out. I don't know what the fuck I think. I don't know. I know that we are spiritual beings living a physical existence. I fucking feel that. And I resonate with certain star systems, and I don't know why, but I'm not one of those that wants to go around calling myself a starseed either. It's like, I feel there's a bit of ego attached to that as well. It's, I don't know what it is, but, you know, I feel connected with the stars for sure, and the sky, and always have done. But when I have actual sort of, you know, remembrances or memory clicks, you know, when you get a piece for your puzzle, mine are always of an existence that has existed before, you know, nothing particularly future, more past. And I definitely have some kind of resonance with this Tataria shit. And again, I've not looked at much, but when I see the buildings and the technology and stuff, I feel like, oh yeah, I know that, you know. I don't know about what happened to it or why, but I feel like the civilization or the culture was something that I am aware of or was part of. Which, you know, that's probably ego as well. So I'm always having these fucking battles with myself, but it's interesting, isn't it? But anyway, truth-seeking, conspiracy theories, that type of thing. It's like a conspiracy theory is now being tarred with such a dirty sort of attachment. And I watched something again this morning about conspiracy theory, conspiracy fact, and it's like, you know, obviously there's infinite number of rabbit holes in conspiracy theories, but what I find is that there is a huge percentage of people that are they're just looking at interesting things. It's like they're pondering and questioning the evidence of something and trying to make that fit, and that's where the theories come in, and then that's where you get blanketed as a conspiracy theorist in terms of, you know, the findings with, I'm saying the findings, you know, the whole flat earth thing. I find bits of it just hugely fucking compelling, and then other times I'm like, no, stop being so stupid, you know. Whether the earth was a ball or a flat plane or a fucking triangle or whatever, the size of one person or a whole spaceship of people or whatever, you know, getting high enough off this, that, imagine one person, it's the whole of the world, this is Earth, one tiny person or a few people in a spaceship. How high do they get up? How high did they say they got up? You know, when they went to the moon, even though that's clearly bollocks, you know, and they had to look at that once, and I was like, wow, that's fucking bollocks. that's bollocks, innit? Like, for so many reasons, and then, you know, put it down and carried on with my life, because I don't want to get stuck on these things, and I'm not angry, and I would never go around commenting, or I wouldn't even think someone else was daft for believing in it. It's just what I don't believe that the moon landings were real. The footage that I saw, I don't know about anything else. I feel like NASA's hugely questionable and everything looks like bullshit to me. The numbers, just, you know, the whole narrative of the heliocentric model doesn't jibe right with me, but then neither does certain parts of the flat earth movement. And like, I don't like how lemmings can get behind things and before you know it, you know, I don't know. But anyway, back to perspective. So we're tiny. Imagine the end of a needle head, a pin or whatever. That's obviously bigger than one person would be. Look at that. That's way bigger than one person would be. But what's that? We'd go, what? Oh, look, there's white bits again. Maybe that's 30,000 feet above the surface of the earth, like a airline flight or whatever. Maybe that's 50,000. I don't know, where's the Van Allen belt supposed to be? We can't get higher than that. But, you know, even if it's there in perspective, which I don't think it would be if the moon's 250,000 miles away and then the sun's 93 million miles away, which doesn't make sense to me either, especially when they look the same size in the sky, and one's supposed to be just 4 times bigger than the other, and yet so much further away. Anyway, so imagine there we are, you know, and then you're up there and you're going to take a picture of the top of that, which is going to look like flat, however high up you get, it's still going to look flat, because you're not going to have a big enough perspective to see all this fucking massive earth, whether it's a ball or flat. So, but you know, again, there's something inside me that it's like almost like a little sort of, when I actually looked into this flat earth stuff, I didn't even want to resonate with any of it, but like I said, it's sort of it's evidence that you question and go, well, this is a bit fucking weird, isn't it? You know. And I didn't even think about the whole why would everybody lie thing, you know. And you know, it's not like I'm like resin with the whole world being against everybody and there being some dark puppet masters, which is probably true, but it's just, for me, it's a bit more like things feel right sometimes. I don't know. So it's questioners. We're just questioners, I think. Questioners of everything, be it, you know, moon landings, flat earth, deep state, Illuminati, JFK, bloody sacrifices, whatever, religious shit, whatever it is. People are searching for their own truth, essentially. So it's not alright, you know, to bracket things and also to censor things. You know, in some ways there should be some sort of responsibility with content put out there to not say it's facts, because people are lemmings and they will just follow and agree with things. It's like, these are interesting findings, but don't conclude, you know, don't think highly enough of yourself to conclude 100%, you know, on anything. It's like, I didn't watch the video because I just couldn't be arsed, but that Martin guy from Flat Earth British that I've been dipping in and out of, his last video was something like, we know who the controllers are, and he's sort of pinning it on, I watched 10 minutes, so I don't know how he's come to the conclusion, or I know he was showing some fucking architecture or statues or something, but, you know, it's the, what do you call them? Phoenicians. He thinks it's the Phoenicians, and then I saw some comments about rhesus negatives thrown in there as well, and it's like conclusions and things said as facts are just as dangerous as false facts that we may have already been spun. So difficult, isn't it? I don't want, like, there's on the internet, there's paradigm shattering information that you can come across within a few clicks, and so if you're not mentally prepared, you're probably going to have some sort of inner strife after consuming this type of shit. There's some dark shit on the internet, isn't there? And there's some dark shit that happens in the world, and when you sort of understand that, you have to reset and sort yourself out. But I don't want there to be a whole load of people going off the rocker because of not being ready to understand certain things. So again, I don't think censoring's good. And people always go, because you're getting too close to the truth, man. But, I like to think from the other side of everything as well and go, well, maybe it's sensible in a way. Who knows? What I do know is that whenever I look at flat earth stuff, the fucking trolling is ridiculous. And it makes me laugh. It does. I would never say someone's stupid for thinking that the earth is a globe. I would never. I quite often have a word with myself internally and go, come on, you can't... Why are you still thinking about this flat earth stuff? What is it? But, and again, I'm not fully behind anything because I pull myself back to that and I go, who fucking knows? It's all going to look flat, innit? God knows. But anyway, I've bored myself now. 26 minutes. Hope you all have a lovely day and goodbye.